There is a kind of tired that sleep cannot fix. It is a bone-deep exhaustion, a quiet, hollow ache that lives behind your smile. It is the exhaustion of the yes when your soul was screaming no, the exhaustion of offering a listening ear while your own needs go unheard. You've been told your entire life that your kindness is a virtue, your agreeableness a gift. But what if it is also a weight, a heavy mask you have worn for so long you've forgotten it's even there? What if that profound fatigue you feel is not a flaw in your character? What if it is a message, a sacred signal from the parts of you that you have learned to silence, to push down into the darkness in order to be good? The great psychologist Carl Jung had a name for this vast hidden territory within us. He called it the shadow. And the courageous journey to finally listen to its whispers, that is the true beginning of shadow work. This is not a video about learning to be less kind. This is a video about learning to be kind to yourself. It is your permission slip. Permission to stop blaming yourself for being drained and start, finally, asking why.
The question is not a small one. It shakes the very foundation of who you believe you are. How can something so good feel so bad? How can the act of giving leave you feeling so empty? This is the paradox of the good person, the caregiver, the reliable friend, the peacekeeper. Let's talk about Sarah. Sarah is 35. She's a nurse, a brilliant one. At the hospital, she is an angel of compassion. She'll stay late to comfort a frightened patient. She'll take on an extra shift so a colleague can attend their child's school play. Her yes is a soft, comforting blanket she offers to everyone around her. Her colleagues admire her. Her patients adore her. Her performance reviews are flawless. On the surface, she is the picture of success and virtue. But then, she comes home. The door closes, and the mask, it doesn't just come off, it shatters. The smallest things ignite a flash of irritation. Her husband asking what's for dinner. Her children leaving toys on the floor. Each question, each small demand feels like another weight on her already collapsing shoulders. And in the quiet moments, after the kids are in bed, a darker feeling emerges. It's a low, humming resentment. A quiet bitterness she can't quite name. She feels it toward her family for needing her, toward her job for taking so much, and most painfully, she feels it toward herself, for being so tired, for being so irritable. She looks in the mirror and thinks, what is wrong with me? Why can't I just be grateful? Pause here. Does any part of Sarah's story resonate with you? That silent gap between the person you are for the world and the exhausted, resentful person you are when no one is looking. This is where the genius of Carl Jung illuminates our path. Jung proposed that our psyche, our total self, is like an energy system. He called it psychic energy. It's not mystical, it's practical. It is the fuel for our thoughts, our emotions, our actions. Like any energy system, it seeks balance. Now, imagine this. Every time you say yes when you mean no, you are not just speaking a word. You are performing an act of psychic labor. You are actively taking a piece of your authentic self, your tiredness, your need for rest, your own opinion, and you are pushing it down, suppressing it, forcing it into the unseen basement of your psyche, into the shadow. Carl Jung taught that this act of suppression, of holding up the good mask, the persona, is the single most energy-consuming task a human being can undertake. It is far more draining than running a marathon, far more exhausting than any physical labor, because you are fighting a civil war within yourself. Your conscious mind, your persona, is trying to be the perfect, agreeable, helpful person. But your shadow, the part that holds your real needs, your real fatigue, your real no, is constantly pushing back. It wants to be seen. It wants to be honored. That bone-deep fatigue Sarah feels, it isn't from her long shifts. It isn't from her family's needs. It is the profound, soul-crushing fatigue of self-betrayal. It is the cost of constantly hiding her truth. It's not the work that is tiring you. It's the work of hiding, the work of pretending you are not tired, of pretending you do not have needs, of pretending your no does not exist. And your soul, your deep, wise, authentic self, it is sending you the bill. And that bill is your exhaustion. It is a message, a desperate plea. It's saying, please stop pretending. Look here. Look at what you've hidden away. That is the first crucial step of shadow work. Not to change, but simply to look. To finally acknowledge the price you have been paying for being good.
So you have acknowledged the price. You have felt the weight of the mask. And a chilling, perhaps liberating thought begins to dawn. My exhaustion is not a weakness. It is an alarm system. My shadow is speaking. But what is it actually saying? And who is this shadow? For most of us, the word shadow conjures images of darkness, of evil, of something to be feared and destroyed. This is the greatest misunderstanding of our time, and it is the source of so much of our suffering. Carl Jung's most radical and healing insight was this: the shadow is not your enemy. It is not the bad part of you. The shadow is simply the part of you that was not allowed. Think back to when you were a child, a small girl full of vibrant, chaotic energy. You got angry, you stomped your feet, you screamed, "No, I don't want to." And what happened? Maybe you were told, "Nice girls don't get angry," or "Don't be so selfish, think about others." Or perhaps you were simply ignored, your needs dismissed, until you learned that being quiet and agreeable was the only way to receive love and attention. In that moment, a powerful decision was made, not by you, but for you. Anger is not allowed. Needs are not allowed. Saying no is not allowed. So where did all that powerful energy go? That righteous anger, that fierce self-preservation, that healthy desire for autonomy? It did not disappear. Energy is never destroyed. It was simply exiled, pushed down into the basement of your psyche, locked away from the good rooms of the house where your acceptable self lives. This is your shadow. It is a treasure chest of your most vital, authentic, and powerful parts that you were taught to be ashamed of. Your anger is not a flaw. It is your fierce protector, the part of you that knows when your boundaries have been violated. Your selfishness is not a sin. It is your sacred need for self-preservation, the part that knows you cannot pour from an empty cup. Your no is not a rejection of others. It is a profound yes to yourself, to your own energy, to your own truth. The people-pleasing you do today is not a personality trait. It is a survival strategy, a protection program that was installed in your childhood to keep you safe, to ensure you were loved and not abandoned. And it worked. It kept you safe. But you are not that little girl anymore. The strategy that once protected you is now imprisoning you. The very walls that kept you safe are now the walls of your own cell. And your shadow, the exiled queen in the basement, has been rattling the bars for years. The exhaustion you feel is the sound of those bars shaking. The resentment you feel is her voice, muffled but persistent. She is not trying to destroy your life. She is trying to save it. She is trying to bring you back into wholeness. Wholeness, in the Jungian sense, is not about being perfect. It's not about being good all the time. Wholeness is about having all parts of yourself at the table. The kind part, the angry part, the generous part, the part that needs to say no and rest. True shadow work is not a battle. It is a homecoming. It is the courageous act of walking down into that basement, not with a sword, but with a lantern. It is the act of sitting with that exiled part of yourself and saying for the first time, I see you. I hear you. You were right all along. Welcome home. This process doesn't mean you will suddenly become an angry or selfish person. That is the fear that keeps us trapped. It means you will become a whole person. A person who can choose to be kind from a place of fullness, not from a place of fear. A person who can be generous without becoming resentful. A person whose yes is powerful and true because their no is also available and honored. The energy you will reclaim, the energy that is currently being spent suppressing half of who you are, is immense. It is the energy of your own life waiting to be lived. The journey begins not by changing anything, but by simply listening. By daring to ask, what has been exiled? What part of me is crying out to be seen? Your exhaustion has already shown you the door. Shadow work is giving you the key.
The key is in your hand. The door to the basement stands before you. The thought of opening it is terrifying. Your mind races with all the what-ifs. What if I become selfish? What if people don't like the real me? What if I lose everything I've built? These fears are valid. They are the gatekeepers, the old guards of a system designed to keep you small and safe. But you are not here to wage a war. You are here to begin a conversation, a gentle inquiry. The first steps of shadow work are not about drastic change, they are about courageous listening. So, let's not throw the door open. Let's just crack it open a little. Just enough to let a little light in and a little truth out. Here are 3 gentle, practical shadow work prompts you can do today. All you need is a journal and 5 minutes of privacy. The first prompt is called the resentment compass. Think of the last time you felt that familiar hot flicker of resentment, that quiet bitter taste in the back of your throat. Maybe it was when a coworker offloaded their work onto you and you said, "Sure, no problem." Maybe it was when a family member made a passive-aggressive comment and you just smiled. Maybe it was when you cooked a meal for everyone and no one said, "Thank you." In your journal, write this down. The last time I felt resentment was, and complete the sentence. Don't judge it. Don't analyze it. Just describe the scene. Who was there? What did you agree to? What was left unsaid? You see, resentment is not a toxic emotion to be avoided. It is a sacred signal. Carl Jung would say it is your shadow's most reliable messenger. It is an inner compass pointing with perfect, unerring accuracy directly to a boundary that has been crossed. It is your soul's way of saying, "Hey, that was not okay." By simply writing it down, you are acknowledging the message for the first time. You are honoring the signal. The second prompt is called the selfish need.
people pleasers are taught that their needs are secondary, that wanting something for yourself is selfish. This is the great lie that fuels our exhaustion. So, let's challenge it. In your journal, write this. One thing I secretly want but feel is too selfish to ask for is, and be radically honest. Is it an hour of uninterrupted silence? Is it to buy that book instead of putting the money towards something practical? Is it to say no to a weekend plan so you can just do nothing? This selfish desire is not a character flaw. It is your exiled life force. It is a whisper from the deepest part of you, begging for nourishment. It is the part of your shadow that remembers what it feels like to be alive, to have desires, to be a priority in your own life. You don't have to act on it yet. The revolutionary first step is simply to admit that the need exists, to give it space on the page, to acknowledge its right to be. The third and final prompt is the unspoken no. Your yes has become an automatic reflex, a shield, a way to manage the world, but every automatic yes is a quiet betrayal of a silent no. So, let's give that silent no a voice. Think back on your last week. Recall one time you said yes when every cell in your body wanted to scream no. Maybe it was agreeing to a project you have no time for, or a social event that you knew would drain you. In your journal, write the scenario down. Then underneath it, write this sentence. What my silent no wanted to say was, and let it speak. No, I can't take that on right now. My plate is full. No, thank you for the invitation, but I need to recharge this weekend. No, that is not my responsibility. This is not about confrontation. This is about integration. This is shadow work in its purest form. You are giving voice to the part of you that has been silenced. You are allowing the exiled queen to speak her truth safely within the pages of your journal. Each time you do this, you reclaim a piece of your power. You are teaching your nervous system, little by little, that it is safe to have boundaries, that it is okay to have needs, that no is not a word of destruction, but a word of self-construction. These three prompts, the resentment compass, the selfish need, and the unspoken no, they are not homework. They are homecoming. They are the first steps on a sacred journey to reclaim the lost parts of yourself. Each sentence you write is a thread you pull, unraveling the mask of the good person to reveal the whole, authentic, and powerful person you were always meant to be. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, and your journey back to yourself begins with a single honest word written on a page.
If you have made it this far, if you have sat with the prompts, if you have dared to write down even one word of your hidden truth, then what you have just done is sacred. It is not homework. It is not a self-help exercise. It was a conversation. The first quiet conversation with the parts of yourself you were taught to abandon. It is the first drop of rain on a parched and thirsty land. It is the first crack of light in a room that has been dark for far too long. Do not underestimate the power of this beginning. The journey of shadow work, the path that Carl Jung laid out, is not about becoming a different person. It is about remembering the person you already are. Remembering, in the truest sense of the word, to bring the exiled members of your soul back into a unified whole. The anger you were told was unladylike. The needs you were told were selfish. The powerful no you were told was unkind. These are not your flaws. They are your power sources. They are the lost jewels of your psyche waiting to be reclaimed from the dragon of goodness. For years, you have been leaking your life force, your psychic energy, into keeping others comfortable, into upholding a peace that was never truly peaceful, because it cost you your own. Today, you have begun the great work of plugging those leaks. You have begun the process of reclamation, of calling your energy, your power, your very self back home. This path is not always easy. There will be moments of fear, of doubt, of wanting to retreat to the familiar comfort of the mask. That is okay. That is part of the process. But you have now tasted something new. You have tasted the possibility of a life where your yes is a gift freely given, not a tax you are forced to pay. A life where your kindness comes from a well that is full, not from a sense of obligation that leaves you empty. You are not broken. You are waking up. And this channel, this space, is here to walk with you every step of the way. Not to give you all the answers, but to help you ask the right questions. To hold a lantern for you as you explore the rich, complex, and beautiful territory of your own soul. So, I invite you to make your first act of reclamation public. Not for me, but for yourself and for every other woman who feels exactly as you do. In the comments below, I want you to share the story of a time your people-pleasing drained you the most. Let's turn this comment section into a testament of shared experience. A place where we see each other, and in doing so, see ourselves more clearly. Let your voice, your story, be a light for someone else who is just starting to open their eyes in the dark. And as you begin to honor your resentment, as you begin to acknowledge your needs, you may notice another feeling begin to surface. Something more fiery, more potent. It is the energy that has been guarding those boundaries all along. It is your anger. And in our next video, we will explore why this so-called negative emotion is actually one of your most sacred gifts. We will ask, what happens when the exiled queen in the basement is no longer whispering, but roaring? You will not want to miss it. For now, be gentle with yourself. You have taken the first, most courageous step. You are not alone on this path. Welcome to the journey.